There are quite a large amount of buttons on our HUD to use in Arena Breakout. While most of these are obvious to an experienced mobile gamer, some of them may still need a little explaining. If that's the case, then this video is for you. Let's get into it. The health and debuffs area may be your best friend. The status of your health and any buffs or debuffs that you have are shown here. You can also tap it to open up the health window, which will allow you to use healing items that are not stored in your rig. The soundbar will show you how much noise you are making. After a while, you won't really need this anymore though. The map button does exactly what it says on the tin. It opens the map. You can mark locations, find dead teammates, and plan where you're going to go from here. The left fire button can be affected by other in-game settings, such as the rotation settings. Other than that, it fires the weapon or throws any throwables you currently have activated. These buttons here are the peek buttons. They will allow you to peek to the left and to the right, around corners and doorways. This is a very useful thing indeed. The movement joystick controls your movement and sprinting if you are using the correct setting. Some players find that having this joystick at a smaller scale really does help their movement ability. The change zoom button will change the magnification of the scope, if that scope has that ability. Note that you can only do this while you're in ADS mode. The arm grenade button will start the fuse on an active grenade. You can use this to cook a grenade before throwing it. Just make sure you actually do throw it though. The cancel grenade button does what it's supposed to. It will stop the current throw in progress. Note that if you are actually cooking a grenade, this option will no longer be available. You must throw it. The inventory button here opens the inventory. You can access the health window from here as well, which can be very useful. This is the item selector. The item selector allows you to use any medical items that are stored in your rig or your pockets. There's also an armor durability visualization next to this button. The pistol button allows you to swap to any equipped pistol. If you fill every weapon slot, the melee option will now show above this area. The first tap of this button will activate a quick draw function. If you run with a pistol, it will swap completely to the pistol. These are your weapon swap buttons for your main weapons, the one currently in your hands and any weapon you may have on your back. If you are not carrying a second weapon, the knife will be accessible here instead. The firing modes toggle will allow you to change from fully automatic to semi-automatic or any other modes that the gun allows. This is the throwable selector. The throwable selector will allow you to select the throwable you wish to use. Note that if you have quick throw enabled, then tapping the grenade icon will throw it immediately. Since Season 2, ladders are actually much more common on the maps, but now you can just run up to them to climb up them. The ladder button is however now used to climb down a ladder. The unlock button also becomes the open and close button for safes, doors and anything else that can be opened. You can also hold down on this button to close safes and weapon boxes. The loot button will loot the target. This opens up a separate window for looting so that you can move stuff into your backpack. The loot window, on the other hand, will pop up things that are in the environment that can be looted, so you can just tap the item that you want to pick up. This is the quick throw button. This is new in Season 2 and can be enabled in the settings. This button will quick throw the actively selected grenade. This allows a choice between quick throwing using this button or cooking a grenade by using the grenade selector. The throw angle toggle appears when you are holding a grenade and replaces the reload button. You can use this option to change the angle of the grenade being thrown. This can be very useful for getting to those hard to reach areas. The reload button will reload any available mag from your rig to the weapon. The system will try to prioritize the highest ammo volume magazine for reloading. The mag check button will give you an idea of how many rounds are left in your weapon. Note that for most weapons it is not an exact number, but more of an idea of how full or empty the magazine is. The voice options here come with sound and microphone options that you can change while in the game. Very helpful for those teammates that like to eat their microphones like it's candy. The settings button will bring you to the settings window so you can change settings while you're in a raid. This is also where you can leave the raid if you want to. Know that if you do that, you will still lose everything as if you had died. The friendly fire moderation button appears when you get hit by a grenade from a teammate. By default, the teammate will not be allowed to throw a grenade again for about 30 minutes. This allows you to choose to keep that ban in place or remove it. The system does seem to be clever enough to know if there's a chance that this was intentional or not. The weapon inspection button will do that. It will inspect the weapon. Very nice little animation. The emotes button will allow you to use combat hand signals for your teammates. It'll also have your character voice some messages out loud, which some players use to pretend to be scavengers. Note that the new sprays can also be found here. The chat window will show any team chat history and allow some quick messages to be used. The rechamber weapon button is used for the new shotgun in Season 2. This new shotgun can fire 2 rounds before it rechambers automatically. But if you were to only fire 1 round, you can use this button to refill that round into the chamber. The sneak button will have your character move as slowly and as quietly as possible. While you may not always show in the sound meter, you can still be heard if someone has good ears. The helmet attachment button will activate and deactivate any helmet attachments you may have on, such as face guards or thermals. The sprint button does just that. It toggles sprinting. Note that unless you actually have this option enabled in the settings, the sprint button will not show on screen. The laser button will activate or deactivate any active lasers or flashlights that you have attached to your currently equipped weapon. Note that if you have a laser and a flashlight equipped, it will activate or deactivate both of them. The ADS button does just that. It triggers aiming down the sights. The change scope button will change between your main scope and any reflex scopes that you may have attached. This button will not actually show if you do not have a second sight on the weapon. This button can be used at any time if you can keep track of the currently active scope. The right fire button fires the weapon. Depending on any control mode or other settings you may have, it may act differently to the left fire button. This button here is the jump button. It makes you jump. This button is the crouch button. Shockingly, it makes you crouch. And then we have the prone button. This button will make you ice cream and give you a foot massage. Okay, no it won't, it'll prone the character. Yeah. These here are the stamina bars and they're very important. If you have low leg stamina, you will not be able to run or jump properly. And with low arm stamina, the aiming down the sights becomes far less accurate, as you can see here. Keep an eye on these at all times. The items in use button shows up when you are using meds or anything else that's not instant use, such as repacking a magazine. This allows you to cancel that use if needed. It can be very helpful to place this over the fire button to allow for a quick cancellation. This here I'm calling the trigger countdown. This option is typically used for missions and extract. It's not something you can move, but it does show on the HUD. Note that if it's for like a mission, any movement or action will cancel anything in progress. Up the top here we have some other options too. The recommended build will give you a starting place for your HUD if you need it. There are a few different builds that you can pick here. The share build will provide a link so that you can share your HUD with another player. The import build is where you would place that link to copy another player's HUD. The size slider will change the size of the currently selected button, and the transparency button will of course give you puppies instantly. Okay, maybe not, it will change the transparency of the button. The fine movement controls here can make moving and putting a button into the right place a lot better and a lot easier than using just your fingers. And right at the top here there are options to exit, reset to default and save the HUD. There are many ways to set up your HUD in Arena Breakout. For most people, they will use the HUD from any other games that they play. But if you're stuck and you need a starting place, here's my HUD that I use for Four Finger Claw that works really well. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions or need some help, do leave a comment and I will do my best.